It's time to play Demos on Demand. Hosted by yours truly, Juanita Coley.
Hey guys, it is Juanita Coley, the Contact Center Whisperer, CEO and founder of Solid Rock Consulting, and we are back with another episode of Demos on Demand. Okay, this is where we attempt to demo an enterprise product in 30 minutes or less by answering your top 12 submitted questions and showing you the product. Listen, I am super excited because today I have none other than Dave with me from Calabrio. Dave, thank you so much for coming and being on the show. Listen, the time to beat right now, I believe, is 2 minutes left on the clock. So listen, you got to get it done. So I'm super excited to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit more about yourself before we hop in the show.
Oh, the honor is all mine, Juanita. It is so great to be here with you. You and I have been friends for a while, and it's so great to when we have a chance to connect personally and professionally. It's really awesome to have an opportunity like this. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dave Hoekstra. I am Calabrio's product evangelist. What does that mean? It means I get to do awesome stuff like this all the time, right? Do cool demos and talk to a lot of great customers out there that are doing amazing things with their CX. And that's what Calabrio is all about. We're here to show you how you can use the tool to really change those approaches to how customers interact with you and your organization, and how we interact with you and make your job easier. Because that's the key, right? We got to easier, faster, smarter. Let's go.
I love that. Listen, well, I'm super excited for you to be on the show. This is probably going to be your coolest demo. You don't have to tell nobody. You can keep it between us. This is probably going to be your coolest demo you've ever done. And so I'm super excited to jump right in. So you know the rules, Dave. I'm going to put 30 minutes on the clock. We're going to answer the 12 questions that our audience has submitted in 30 minutes or less. You want to answer them as quickly as possible because the time that you have left remaining on the clock is the time that you have left to demo. Are you ready? As soon as we go to this next screen, their 30 minutes are going to start, and I'm going to start asking you questions rapid fire.
Start that clock, Juanita. Let's do this.
Start that clock. Okay, Dave, can you tell me what the average seat cost range is for the Calabrio product?
Long story short, because we have such a wide range of products, it can vary, but the easy answer is from usually about $30 a seat to a little over $100 a seat, depending on whether you go with the full suite or just the point-to-point solutions that are offered in Calabrio One.
Awesome. Is there a minimum seat range for purchasing this product?
Heck no. There is a point where it starts to make more sense than others, but we've got customers out there with 5 seats ready to take on the world, so up to 30,000. So yeah, there's no such thing as a minimum seat count with Calabrio.
I love that, 5 to 30,000. Okay, so tell me, how do I save money with your product?
Oh, gosh. Okay, this is going to take up the whole 30 minutes, but no, I'm just kidding. With Calabrio, the best way to save money is, by getting better and faster and smarter about things, right? And that can be things like really targeting your customer experience and eliminating those calls or interactions that take up people's time that don't necessarily speed, right? So smarter, faster interactions. And then, from a kind of a resource management standpoint, really targeting the smart plans and making sure that the resources we have available are used efficiently. That can have a huge impact. So the ROI of WEM is pretty significant and tough to get into all the ways we can do it, but I'd love to show you some of them when we get to the demo.
Oh, I'm excited to see, Dave. Okay, how do I make money with your product? Similar question, but slightly different. How do I make money? How do customers make money with your product?
Nobody wants to make money. Everybody's in this to break even, right? That profitability is no such thing here. No. So we help organizations, because we are kind of a behind the scenes from the customer's perspective. We help the organizations make money by reducing their costs, right? And you kind of asked that question a little bit earlier, but that really is the way we approach this. Now, there are smarter ways by doing things, by using analytics to help identify which sales phrases lead to more closed-won sales and which sales phrases lead to fewer, right? Those are good ways to really kind of boost revenue, or even helping agents become revenue-generating positions within the organization. So a lot of times we have that, that kind of, that we're a cost center. How do we transform into a profit center? And the system can use a lot of the information and analytics that are available in there to help really kind of boost that profit per call and lower that cost per call. That's what we're all about.
I love the sales aspect. Okay, next question. We have 27 minutes and 7 seconds left on the clock.
Okay.
What channels does your product support?
All of them. Next question. No, so usually the easy answer, right? Because Calabrio does not provide the CCaaS platform, right? We partner with most of the major CCaaS platforms out there, most of the CRM platforms out there to help gather that information, right? So when we talk about what channels we support the same channels that the CCaaS platforms can do, and that can be calls, emails, chats, SMS, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, smoke signals, the Harry Potter owls that get sent out. Any way that a message can be delivered to an organization, Calabrio supports that, because our job is to make sure that we are supporting those channels and helping resource them effectively. Not necessarily deliver them, but support those channels as we go through. So you name it, we can support it.
So all the channels you can ingest into the solution. I absolutely love it. Okay, how do you keep employees front and center using your product?
This might be, if I were to highlight the one big glowing neon sign that everyone should be aware of, this is what Calabrio does better than anybody else on the market. Employee engagement, making sure that, especially those frontline agents, but we can't forget the team leads, the supervisors, the directors, and things like that. Those frontline agents, they have been a historically marginalized group of people when it comes to contact center operations, right? I came from the era where it was sit down, shut up, and take calls, and that's no longer the reality anymore, where we really focus on giving those employees the tools that help elevate themselves to a different level in their happiness with the organization that they work for, right? We always joke, what's the number one thing people want? Money. Okay, yeah, that's kind of the thing. But when we get past the obvious, what's the next thing they want? It's all about their schedules and how much flexibility they have. Can they pick their kids up from school? Can they make those soccer games? Can they make those book club meetings that they want to do? And that's what Calabrio really focuses on, giving the agent that choice and the ability to influence their own schedule without necessarily needing to go through a complicated set of steps. So it took a long time on that answer, but it was super important. I'm willing to give up a couple minutes of my time to really emphasize that.
Autonomy. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, how do you help keep customers front and center with your product?
So that definition is funny, right? Are we talking about Calabrio's customers or the customers of Calabrio's customers? And I'm going to answer both, right? When we talk about our customers, how do we keep them front and center? We really give them the tools that answer the questions they haven't been able to historically answer. Things like, does my marketing spend, is it actually effective? Or how many people what kind of things are our competitors doing that are causing churn, right? Those are all super important questions that our customers ask. Then the question comes, what about the customers of our customers? How do those people, it's by having more qualified agents and better people to answer the questions. It's by having the right resources in place to answer those calls when nobody likes to wait on hold, get that question answered, and then really providing them the tools that they have that make the organization better at answering the question, right? Fewer calls, reducing the intake of information that has to be processed so that we can be better at answering those CX organized questions. And that's really where we shine. So it's a real trickle down effect. You've heard happy agents equals happy customers when we're focused on both sides of those.
I absolutely love that. Next question. Technology is so rapidly advancing, that it is super, super hard to keep up with all the technology advancements. How does Calabrio prioritize what goes in the technology and feature stack?
Oh, well, if you've been to any speech about technology in the past couple years, the answer is basically ChatGPT, AI, ChatGPT, AI, ChatGPT. But and of course, we're looking at all of those things, but it's a little more difficult than that if you know anything about software development. One of the cool things at Calabrio that we do is we actually have what's called an ideas portal for our customers to submit enhancements to this platform, and then others can vote on it. And those things that get the most votes, those are what we build. And I think we're at like something like 85 to 90% of our features that have been rolled out in the last couple of years have all been straight from our customers. And so we take that pretty seriously, and we try really hard. And what we do is we try to get out the feature in a usable state, right? And then iterate from there. Instead of waiting a year for it to develop, we get it out there, we listen to feedback. A good example of that is the self-scheduling piece in Calabrio WFM. We released it as a pretty simple thing, and over the last couple of years, we've added more and more to it to now where I would go up against anybody else's ability for agents to self-manage their schedule.
I love to go up against anybody else's. I love the little right there. Okay, anyway. That's because I'm petty. All right, next question. Last question for the interview section, okay? One thing that makes your product, your stack, truly unique.
Yeah, the one thing that makes our stack unique, the easy answer would be that we are really exclusively cloud native, and everything we do, it was built for the cloud, designed for the cloud, and there's no like separate instances, and maybe you're getting something that's kind of on-prem and not really. It's all super cloud native, and that would be really what I would point to. From a feature standpoint, I'd go with that self-scheduling and agent features that I was talking about earlier, but that would be saying two answers to your one question, and that wouldn't be fair, and I'd never do that.
Never do that. Never, ever. All right, so you made it through the interview section. Woo!
Let's go.
Let's go. You have 21 minutes and 23 seconds left on the clock. I am super thrilled to hop into the product section, the demo section of the product, and look at the suite. Okay, so 4 things I'm really kind of looking for. Okay, it won't be in the question format because you can really show me what you want to show me, how you want to show it to me. But what I'm really looking for is the overall UI, how it looks, how it feels. I'm looking for data, how it comes in the system, if that's something that you want to show me, reporting. I'm also looking for that one unique thing or one thing that you want to show me that's like blow my mind. Okay, Dave, blow my mind. Okay, so gonna go to the next scene now. You're gonna share your desktop. You already should have it up. I'm gonna put the 21 minutes and 23 seconds on the clock in the next scene, and we're getting ready to have a fun demo. I'm super excited. All right, let's go.
And if you have a question for me, throw it at me because I want to hear it as we go. But all right, so I always like to start with the sexiness. Right? Workforce management, that's where I'm near and dear to my heart. That's where I spend all my time. This is our great the kind of intraday scheduling screen where team leads, analysts can update and manage the schedule. Right, this is where you do all the cool. Looking at the over-unders and the staffing and that kind of stuff. And I'm going to come back to this, right? But I always like to start here because that's where near and dear to my heart. Calabrio 1 is all about data and information, right? Huge part of what we do is business intelligence that's built into the entire platform. So every nook and cranny, every corner, under every rug, in every entryway, there's BI built into the platform. So our customers can just build from scratch any and all type of reporting that they would love. And it's really great to see the things that they can do. And it's funny because so many times the question is, does your product do this? And the answer is yes, because of our Data Explorer BI tool. And it's really, really cool to see. And, I could flash through dozens and dozens of dashboards here. Here's a great workforce management one, right? Looking into, super exciting stuff for people like you and me, shrinkage summaries, right? Those are
out.
Right? But it's also a lot about the QM part as well. So being able to come in here and see things like, all right, looking at overall repeat calls and effort, right? Those are huge parts of delivering that CX to our platform. So I'm not going to go through a million different dashboards here, but the idea has always been for us, the foundation of workforce engagement management is really interaction, search, and record replay. And a huge unique part of the Calabrio One experience is this media player that you see right here on your screen. That media player is all about making sure there is speed and efficiency in reviewing these evaluations, right? We still have to listen to calls. We still have to record the calls. And yes, AI and machine learning are making this easier and easier. But ultimately, when a human being needs to come in and review this information, we got to make it easy for them. So you can see right here, I get all the associated metadata with the call. I get the full transcription of the call. And you'll notice how everything is laid out in a very portrait mode here. And that's because that's how human beings are now used to consuming information. We carry around these little portrait screens with us everywhere we go. And and the thing I love about it is look how efficient the screen real estate is. I can zoom through the entire call. There's no pop-out windows. There's no moving things around. It's bam, 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 bam across. I evaluate the call down here at the bottom. I get the screen recordings up here at the top. All of my phrase and category information is here. It's just all laid out super easy. And what we found is that in this layout, organizations can get through manual reviews up to 80% faster. And that is huge, right? More evaluations mean more information and smarter decisions about what we do. And so that is just an absolutely critical part of how Calabrio can help organizations get better, faster, and smarter, is by really chewing through this overall process. And there are tons of things that turning this on does for our organization. So I'm going to pop into, and I'm going to show you a quick example of exactly how these organizations, one organization we worked with, made a pretty drastic improvement to their overall piece.
Now, Dave, I hate to interrupt you because I know you're on the clock. You have 17 minutes and 15 seconds left. But listen, tell me, on that red and blue going back and forth, I can only imagine on that quality screen that was the customer and the agent, right?
That's exactly right. So it looks just like an iPhone chat message, right? It's the agent on the right or the left and the customer on the right, making it super easy to identify which one is which. And then we got that speaker separation as we go through. So yeah, that's a huge part of getting good analytics, which is a great lead into this screen, is being able to tell what the customer said and what the agent said and separate those two things. Yeah. And if we can't do that, then we're kind of doing analytics on everything. And what we really want is what the customer is saying. We want the agent information, but when it comes to true analytics, we want what the agent is saying consistently, what the customer is saying consistently more. And this is an exact reason why, right? This is an organization that identified that repeat calls was a real problem. And you could see this particular week here, they had, over 10,000 repeat calls. So they identified it as a real issue. They were able to go in and look at all the calls that got tagged as a repeat call. And long story short, I'm going to save you the time and energy for me digging through everything. But in this particular example, the organization, people were coming out of training thinking that a particular process took 2 to 3 days. So you would call, the agent would say you'll get an answer in 2 to 3 days. Well, in reality, the process took 7 to 10. Now let me ask you, Juanita, if you called in and they told you 2 to 3 days and you hadn't heard from them by day 4, what are you doing?
I'm going to somewhere else.
You're calling them back, right? You're calling them and saying, "Hey, wow, you're aggressive, right? You're okay. It's you guys. I'm out." Most people would call back and say, "Hey, I was supposed to have heard something." Well, the organization was able to identify that there was some training issues in that, and they were able to go back and fix those issues and come back and say, hey, by the way, this takes 7 to 10 days, not 2 to 3. Stop telling them 2 to 3. And look what happened. Immediately next week, a 20% reduction in repeat calls. Immediately after that, 80% reduction in repeat calls. That is real money. That, going back to your question earlier, that is 6,000 calls that this organization did not have to take in a week, which means more availability for other issues. Potentially, we're leading to appropriate staffing and also less exhausted agents, less exasperated customers. That's the real processes. Let's really dig in and identify how that process can lead to process improvements. And that's what Calabrio is all about, especially in the analytics department and what we can provide there with our speech to text transcription.
That's an insane amount of calls. That's amazing stuff.
I know. And most of those calls were likely in the 7 to 12 minute range. So we're talking just crazy kind of production here. And that's just one example, right? I can go with other examples of organizations that verified their marketing spend. A quick story, which is so great. We have one customer that wanted to know if their advertising campaigns were being effective. So they set up these categories to listen for words like bus ads, radio and billboard and things like that. And what they found out after just a few weeks of calls is that the bus ads were almost useless and the billboards were like 10 times more useful than they thought. So they took all the money out of their bus ads and put them into the billboards. And I want you to imagine that the number one proponent of Calabrio in this organization is the director of marketing. That doesn't happen in organizations. Contact center people are usually kind of stick to that little group, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, the director of marketing is like, we love this. I've never been able to verify this information before, but we can with Calabrio, and it's super awesome to see. So yeah. Crazy good stuff. Now, okay, that's kind of the call recording, analytics, QM part of Calabrio One, and that's a huge part of what we do. And then the other big part, as we kind of teased at the very beginning, is the workforce management piece. Now, workforce
12
management,
minutes and 30 seconds on the clock, Dave.
Oh, okay. And workforce management, the formula is pretty standard and it's been around for a long time, right? Look at historical data, use that historical data to create a forecast, use that forecast to understand a staffing requirement. Staffing requirement then informs the schedules. We schedule our people, and then we hope for the best, right? Then the agents need to change things. We have to worry about shrinkage and call-ins and all kinds of stuff like that. And we do all of that just as well as anybody, in my opinion. I would say better, right? The forecasting, the scheduling, the significant ability for us to manage unique union laws, labor laws, union rules, those kind of things. You can create insanely flexible schedules that manage just about anything that can be done. And it's easy to see here. This is the result of a schedule as we go through. I'll also pop in and just mention, we always like to talk about real-time adherence. Real-time adherence is one of those really fun things that, it's out there. We have to do it. We have to keep an eye on what our agents are doing and compare it in real time to their schedule so we can make sure we're being efficient, right? And if you want to talk to me for an hour and a half about something that will put you to sleep, let's talk about building an adherence policy and see how far that gets us when we talk about conversation. But for me, what I really like to focus on a lot when we talk about the agents is what their view brings them, right? Now, this is the agent portal, and I will mention what's really cool about this agent portal is that you're looking at the desktop view here, but this desktop view also gives me, I can have the same exact view available on my smartphone. So the smartphone becomes a huge part of being able to do this. My favorite feature, like if you were to give Dave, you get one bullet point about what you like.
Give it to me.
About is that there's no difference in functionality between what you can do on your desktop and your phone. It's not like, oh, you wanted to do a shift trade, sorry, you've got to load up a browser, or oh, you wanted to check your gamification scores, you got to go to a browser, right? Though that's not the case. Every single thing that can be done on the phone can also be done on desktop, and vice versa. So when we add a new feature to what we do, we don't have to worry about like building it in the app, and that comes 2 months later. It's always there right off the bat. So super excited about that particular feature. Now, what I like to focus on is obviously in here we have all the accoutrements that an agent would want, right? You can ask for a day off, you can request time off, you can view a team schedule and see who's working when, and that can lead to requesting a shift trade. There's so many different ways the agents can kind of tackle some of those day-to-day pieces that go into what's going on. Now, what we like to specifically focus on is the ability for the agent to manage themselves in their schedule, right? So like we said at the very beginning, I came from back in the day, you and I have talked about this, I used to get my schedule handed to me on a piece of paper.
Post-it notes.
And if my team lead, if I said to my team lead, can I move my lunch back 30 minutes? They would pick up the phone, call WFM. WFM would look and say, yes, you can. They would say, great. And then someone would walk over with the new piece of paper. That was my schedule, right? We're well past those days. And so now what we have is the ability for agents to come in and do these things on their own without even needing to involve an administrator. And I hear all the administrators watching this going, wait. You want to let them do changes to their own schedule? And we say yes, because if we go back to those staffing requirements that we build, all the information is in there. So what's the process that an admin would go through? They would go through, look at the schedule, look at the staffing, and go, yeah, I think we can afford that, right? They'd make the change, validate the change, and then we're all good. That's exactly what our system does. It just does it automatically without needing somebody. So let me show you kind of how that works. If the agent is looking at this day right here, the 16th, and they're like, boy, that lunch seems a little off, and I'd sure like to make an adjustment to it. They just simply click this pencil, and it opens up into the self-scheduling interface. Now, watch as I take my lunch, and I just drag it. Now, you see those bars where it's shaded? Mm-hmm. It's not going to let me move my lunch there because we are understaffed in that particular place, right? So again, we're watching out for the business at the same time, but the agent has this information and they're like, my lunch was at 10:30. I'd love to take it a little later. So the latest I can, I'd like to take it a little earlier. So what maybe I can move it back 15 minutes. And as soon as I let my cursor go here, do you want to move your lunch? Yes, I do. And I just moved my own lunch. You noticed there wasn't an email to anybody. There wasn't like a red flag that would pop up at my desk or anything like that. There was no smoke signal that went out. It was just because we're automating that process easily for the agent. Now, same thing with breaks. Now let's see. Look, this day is pretty bad, and so the agent at least looks at this, and guess what they're not doing when they see this? They're not emailing someone and saying, any chance I can move my break? That's not happening. And so we're cutting down on the amount of work that the administrators have to do. We're giving the agent immediate response into what they're looking at. This is what we focus on, is that agent experience. Now, it goes even farther beyond that because it's not just about breaks and lunches. What if I notice that today is particularly busy and I'd sure love to tack on a couple extra hours, get that cash? So I can click the button that says show overtime probability and see these green bars here. These green bars let me know that they need me. They need me here. So I can go in and I can say, you know what? I'm going to put in an overtime request for that time frame. And I'm going to submit that. And based on how the organization has the schedule set up, those can be automatically approved, or they can even run through an admin. So if the admin is really particularly sadistic and wants to spend all their time focusing on approving and denying requests, then we absolutely can do that. So it's so much. And now the opposite of that, though, is absence probability. So overtime is, I'd like to work a little bit more. Absence is, maybe I can go home, or in the days of working from home, maybe I can just log off a few hours early. As you saw when we were looking at it earlier, we were understaffed. So you see how it's basically saying not going to happen. Yeah. But again, that's one email that it doesn't get sent. Now, if you're in an organization with 250, 350 agents, and even half of those agents send one email a day to WFM, how much time are we spending to do this? It's all, and that absence probability, we have organizations that we work with that have really turned this into a boon. As a matter of fact, one organization we work with, can't say who they are, but they're a pretty famous retailer. They have told us that since they've implemented these features, they have had 0 people leave due to scheduling issues. Find me that stat in any other contact center, right? Because that's almost always why people end up leaving. They've had no attrition due to schedule flexibility, which is just awesome, right? And we're only really scratching the surface here of what can be done. There's shift trades. I can trade away part of my shift. I can trade away some of my shift, but there's so much that can be done here. And
4 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock.
Girl, I don't even need that time, let me tell you. The last thing I'm going to show you is probably our favorite. When we talk about AI and we talk about machine learning and all of those futuristic fancy stuff, we got to mention our built-in chatbot, and that's Grant. Now, you see up here at the top, Grant, Grant is this little happy smiley face that sits here in the top right corner of the agent's desktop. And this is also on mobile as well. And you notice the little bell next to it. That means that Grant has found something that may or may not be able to work. Now, Grant can send a notification that says, hey, pay attention here, something needs to happen. But here's how Grant works. I'm going to click on Grant because of that little bell. Down at the bottom left-hand corner, we're going to get a little chat conversation with Grant. And you see it says, welcome back. My name's Sean in this instance. Welcome back, Sean. It looks like today's a busy day, but leaving early isn't an option. But, boy, do we need you for some OT. And would you like to work some OT? And it gives them some options. And it says, you know what? And I'm like, you know what? Right off the edge of my shift, I'd be happy to pick up about an extra hour and a half. So I click on it, and I'm going to use overtime. And it's going to say, just to make sure that's what you want. And see, just like that, it adds the hours right to the screen. And again, I didn't go through any admin. I didn't go through any approval process. It was all done. So our goal, if you take this whole thing, our goal is to create essentially a self-regulating schedule. Agents are always on the hunt for more or less depending on their own personal needs. Grant is always checking things behind the scenes to make sure and going back, just to circle back to the third question, I think, how to save money. This is how to do it, right? Organizations that have to manually focus on reducing hours or adding them, you're missing a ton of opportunity. And that's what we want. Put your agents in charge, treat them like adults, and let them have a little bit of view here. So from a workforce management perspective, those are the things that I'm super excited about. You know, I love the whole suite. I get really into it, as you can probably tell. But we at Calabrio are really hoping that we can enable organizations to do some of these amazing things. And I can't tell you, thank you enough for having us be a part of this. This is fantastic. How'd I do on time?
My God. So you ended with 2 minutes and 28 seconds. But let me tell you, my absolute favorite is the AI right now. Like,
right.
That's next level. Thinking about it from not only an employee experience perspective, but also a workforce management perspective of the sheer time that saves, as far as like having to, hey, can you guys work overtime?
Yeah,
yes. And sending out the reader boards and all the things. Like, oh my God, that's next level.
Yeah, I know you've spent time in the chair, and you know how it's like you go to a 2-hour meeting and you come back and you go, oh my gosh, like, what could have happened if somebody was just paying attention to this while I was gone, right? And that's what we want to get to, is just imagine that it's all just, or overnight shifts, early morning shifts, late evening shifts, those kind of things. It's just having something to watch over the whole time and when the agents love it. I mean, they love it. I've had agents tell me, like, I don't even know, like, my brain wasn't even ready to accept that this is even an option or a possibility, because I've never seen anything like this before. And that's what we love.
Listen, hang out with me in the green room, because my cheeks are hurting just from smiling so much about this. Like, I almost were like, well, where were y'all when I was doing workforce management? Like, where was this feature when I was doing the forecasting and scheduling? Hang out with me in the green room. I'm going to wrap the show, but thank you so much.
Real quick, you want to hear my WFM joke?
What is it?
How many WFM planners does it take to change a light bulb?
How many?
Hold on, let me check my staff.
Hold on. Sorry, I'm so corny that I would laugh off anything because it's workforce management.
Look, that joke might only work between you and me, but hey, I'll take it where I can get it.
Thanks so much, Dave, for hanging out with me. I'm gonna wrap the show. Hang out with me in the green room.
All right, thanks, Juanita, for the time. I'm really glad to be on.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that is another episode of Demos on Demand. What was your favorite feature? Are you having employee engagement challenges? Are you having staffing challenges? Well, as you can see from this mobile feature, the mobile functionality, as you can also see from this AI, we're all talking about AI. Well, without data, it's not artificial intelligence, it's actual ignorance. And what I love about this demo here is how they're leveraging the data from the net staffing and seeing where they need overtime or where VTO and overtime can be used. And then absolutely then self-scheduling it or allowing the agent to take and prompt Grant, the AI feature, Grant saying, hey, you need some AI? Or you need some overtime? Or hey, all these different things. Like, I can't even get my life together right now. I'm so excited about this. So, hey, if you have this need in your organization, you may want to give this a look. I'm just saying. But you heard it here first. See you guys soon. Till next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to tune in to the next episode right here on Demos on Demand.